Yo, what is going on, ladies and gentlemen? It's your boy Gray, and today I am bringing you one of the craziest, most fun, and honestly kind of absurd builds you would probably run to date. This build is actually kind of nasty based off just the numbers that I'm getting and from what I've tested so far. So, this build is meant to be a 1v1 build, but you can indeed go into Cyrodiil and dominate with it, alright? So, I did a poll on my channel. A lot of people are kind of off and on if they want to see 1v1 builds or pure 1vx builds. I decided to make a little bit of both in one. All right, so my concept with this build is to dominate 1v1s, but also I can go into Cyrodiil and pull off 1vxs, but it is a little bit harder to pull off 1vxs with this type of playstyle because you have so much managing you have to do with your bars. So it's a lot of bar swapping, all right? But without further ado, let's get right into the build video. So, jumping into the gear, we are running Essence Thief, front bar, dual wield maces. I have one Nern and one sharpened. Then we have Savagery draining poisons. These poisons are probably the best poisons in the game in my humble most opinion right now because it reduces crit damage by 10%, increasing your crit damage, or up your critical rating, my bad. And then it decreases or it drains health from the enemy and gives it to you, pretty much restoring your HP, so an extra heal essentially. It also makes their stamina abilities cost more and then restores your stamina. All right, so very strong poisons. You can make this with Dragon Thorn, Mountain Flower, and Water Hyacinth. Very strong, 100% need to run. Next, we're running Rally Cry. Yes, you're probably like, oh, Rally Cry, Essence Thief. Everyone does that. We'll get into why my build is a little bit different here in a second. But Rally Cry, staple, you have to run this on 99% of builds nowadays. It's too good not to, all right? Next, we are running Mighty Chudon. Yes, you're probably like, okay, this guy's lost his mind. He's dumb. He doesn't know how to play the game. Hear me out. You get armor, max health, major resolve at all times, increasing your resistance by up to almost 6k. Now, Magsorks used to run this back in the day, and it made them very strong and tanky. So I decided, why not make a build where I could use it and be even stronger? So I put Chudon on. I'm running heavy, both head and shoulder. And then I have a heavy reinforced trainee chest for extra armor value. Very strong. Then you have Rally Cry waist and then Essence Thief for the rest of the body. Hands, legs, feet. This is indeed a 3 heavy, 3 medium, 1 light build. Going into the jewelry, we have infused on all the jewelry pieces with all weapon and spell damage and increased mag recovery. All right. This is meant for dueling specs only right now. If you want to go into open world, change out one of your glyphs for a pure mag recovery glyph, and you'll see a lot better results open world. For the mythic, I chose Monomyth for forged. I don't care about the offensive portion of it, but on the secondary, on your back bar, you get major protection and minor vitality. Major protection reduces damage taken by 10%, and minor vitality is up to like 6%, I think. Correct me if I'm wrong, I might be, but it's like 6% extra healing. It might even be less, might be like 4% or something like that, but that's still insane. You get 4% extra healing and 10% damage reduction just by being on your back bar. Broken. It's actually insane. So yeah, that's what I have for the gear. If you have any questions, put it in the comments below, but that's for the gear right now. Getting into the character stat sheet, we have 50 points into max magicka, 14 points into health, and we are running the Atronach Mundus Stone for mag recovery. The mag recovery on this build is very crucial because it's more of a mag build than it is a stand build, and we'll get into that with the skills and the bar setup here in a second. I am an Imperial on this because I think Imperial is the master race currently because it gives you 6% damage reduction, or 6% reduction to cost for everything, including block, roll dodge, etc., etc. Very strong. Gives you 2k health and 2k stam. Very strong. For food, we are running the smoked bear haunch. I think it's the best food in the game. I don't think you can get better than this. It is expensive. If you want to put on other food, you can. I just prefer smoked bear haunch. I just think it's too good. If you want to be a vampire, you can, but it's not needed. Vampire is kind of gutted and dead and a waste of time now, in my personal opinion. But if you're still a vampire and you don't want to take it off, you don't have to. You'll be fine without it. Or if you still have it. All right, jumping into the bar setup. I'll get into changes and stuff after we do the bar setup. But yeah, the bar setup's kind of crazy. So let me cook though. On your back bar, yes, your back bar, you have Blighted Blast Bones, Deceptive Predator can be changed, Healing Soul, Skeletal Archer, Resolving Vigor, and Temporal Guard. Going into the front bar, we have Dawnbreaker of Smiting, Deep Fissure, Molten Whip, Engulfing Flames, Burning Embers, and Blue Betty. So again, I am a base DK mixed with Animal Companion and Gravelord skill lines. If you want, go through and read the passive abilities, but they are extremely strong passives, all right? Very, very good passives. So, going into stuff that I would change in terms of open world and dueling. Open world, keep Deceptive Predator on. In dueling, you can indeed try, I don't know how well it'll work, but you can try Race Against Time, because this will give you minor force, increasing your crit damage by 10%. So if you want to try that, you can, but minor evasion reduces damage from area attacks by 10%, makes you even tankier than you already are. Very strong. Healing Soul. This is actually kind of broken with this build. So we have healing, class mastery for the DK, giving you more tankiness by 3% in a 1v1, up to 8% open world, and then increasing your damage by 50% or 50 weapon and spell damage, and can also go up higher per people around you. So I think it's like an extra 250 weapon and spell damage if you have 6 players around you. Then we have Major Vitality, increasing your healing and damage shield strength by 12%. You combine that with the Monolith Reforged Mythic, you have Major and Minor Vitality now, increasing your healing substantially by like up to like maybe 20%, I want to say, if that, maybe a little bit less. Obviously, I didn't research the number, but it's high. All right, so you're very tanky with this build, and you have so much pressure and damage output with Blast Bones, Skeletal Archer, Deep Fissure, and then your dots into your Heavy Whip. You just dominate people. All right, now here's some other stuff you can change. If you want, you can take off the Skeletal Archer and put your Betty Netch back here. And then on your front bar, you would take the Betty Netch off, and this is where you would try to slot a stun if it is feasible or possible. So you got to think, like, what stuns do you have? Maybe you could throw on Dive and do the one that gives off balance to where you can heavy attack or medium attack, weave into a Heavy Whip, or, you know, something like that. Or you could put on the dual wield skill line, Shrouding Daggers. This can set them off balance, and if they're casting, it interrupts them and then stuns them for 3 seconds. So you have a lot of options if you want to do that as well, but entirely up to you. So the reason we're running Chewed On, if you didn't catch on already, we don't have an armor skill in any of these skill lines, so I cannot put on a slottable armor skill, so I am forced to run Chewed On. All right, just keep that in mind. Now, one more thing you could change for open world, I'm keeping Dawnbreaker on, but for a 1v1s, you can try out the Wild Guardian, because this is actually kind of insane. It gives a nasty bleed, and it does more bleed damage, and then stuns them when you hit your ultimate. It's like it already does its damage, and then if you hit your ultimate when you have it, it'll stun them, doing a big hit of damage on top of bleed, and then obviously it does even more bleed damage and more damage throughout the fight and stuff like that. Very strong in a 1v1. You can also kite it and make them attack your Guardian instead of you, so it's also very good for that as well. It's like a 2v1 essentially. It's pretty good. But yeah, very, very strong. But yeah, all right, let's jump into the CP real quick. We're running Focused Mending, Master at Arms, Ironclad, and Duelist Rebuff. The only thing I would change in terms of CP is Master at Arms. For this, you can go with Biting Aura, Thaumaturge, or even Wrathful Strikes. You do not have to. I think Master at Arms is 100% fine. The next best one, in my opinion, is probably Thaumaturge or Biting Aura. But that's the only thing I would probably swap it up to if you were going to swap it. But Master at Arms gives you everything you're going to need in terms of making the build as damageable as possible while still being tanky. Going into the red CP, Survival Instincts, Pain's Refuge, Sustained by Suffering, and Fortified. It's just Fortified is too good with this type of spec. Just because we don't have an armor slot. Just on my back bar alone, we have upwards of almost 30k resistances and stuff. And then when we fully buff up and stuff like that, we have 30k resistances. And this isn't even including my tankiness from Rallying Cry. I also don't have my Essence Thief procced and all this other stuff, right? So the build has so much potential to be absolutely brokenly god tier if you can play it right. So yeah. With that being said, that is indeed the build video. I'll walk you guys through the combo real quick on how you can one-shot stuff, but it's not like a proper one-shot build. So you're going to have everything buffed up, right? Everything is buffed up. You're still fighting. You're fighting. Immediately what you're going to do is you're going to light attack Blast Bones, go walk into them, light attack Claw, Engulfing Flames, Subterranean, Bar Swap, Blast Bones, heavy attack Dawnbreaker into your whip. And at that point, you should have a Molten Whip. I didn't have it proc for some reason, but that would be your Molten Whip proc. And that's pretty much the combo. Now, the reason why this build is so tanky is you have Burning Embers heal, Healing Soul, and Vigor as your heals. The enemy cannot heal because of Blast Bones. They have a 9k Fracture on them on top of AoE damage with this. And then you have dots ticking on them into a very heavy whip. Like, I didn't test my whip when it was, like, fully buffed up and anything like that. But we'll do that real quick. Alright, so now we have everything fully procced. So, yeah, we have a 12k whip, 5,300 damage. And let me actually buff up the whip entirely now. All right, so 5.8k damage almost, and a 17k whip, guys. Like, that is absolutely insane. And then on top of that, you have a big Blast Bones and a big Deep Fissure just dominating them. And as you can see, like, look at the healing I'm getting. So a 12k, and this is without Rally. Like, and whenever you need a burst heal, you can just do that and then bar swap. But that's the build video. Hope you guys do enjoy it. If you guys did, drop a thumbs up if you haven't already and subscribe. And I'll catch you guys in the next one. Peace.